Welcome, everyone. My name's Jeff St. Laurent. This is the Tuesday live show. And as you can see, I have an awesome guest. Well, you don't know she's awesome yet, but you're going to know she's awesome in just a minute. But before I bring her on, I do record all of my live shows. I put them on my university at sellingcoaching.com. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. And this coach right here, I want to welcome, first of all, Cocco. Welcome to the live show.
Hi, Jeff. How are you? Hi, everyone.
I'm so glad you're here. As I said, I help coaches transition to a full-time business. And Allie, we were talking just before we went live. And it's always like that thing when I get a client on here and I'm like, so when did we start working together? We got to go back. And so we determined through careful analysis that we started working together. I have a 5-month GoPro Elite group program. And she started that in like about mid 2020.
Gosh, yeah.
And we did that for 5 months and it ended towards the end of, I think it was like right towards the end of 2020. And then I have another 5-month program for some of my advanced students called GoPro Masters. And she did that one March of last year through, middle of last year or so. And since then we've had some small communications, et cetera. I get all her emails. Yeah. She gets my emails. But we haven't been like working together since then. And we've had some conversations and I'm like, we got to get you on this show. And so Allie, so glad to have you here.
Oh, Jeff, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here.
So I want to, and why I want you here, you've impressed me with the work you've done. And let's talk about, first off, I think that the biggest thing with you is that you've stuck with it and you're still doing it. It's not like you're stopping like, oh, I've made it. And, but over the last easily, let's call it a year and a half, when you started working with me, just kind of snapshot for everyone, like where your business was, where you were at, just so like when we started that first 5-month program, like where were you at? What were you feeling? What was going on?
Oh, Jeff, when I started with you, I was as fresh as a newborn baby. I was brand new at this. And I was eager and excited to learn and just ready to get started, but I was brand new. Yeah. Brand new.
Didn't do anything, start from fresh, didn't have a website, didn't have anything.
Nothing.
Just new. Nothing. I love coaching and I want to do this.
I love coaching, fresh from a lot of training. We were introduced through IPEC and, and their offerings. And I just liked your vibe. And I was like, this is good. This guy makes sense for me. I come from a background in sales for 25 years. So I think, just your vibe again resonated with me. And I was like, this is the guy that I'm going to latch onto and get started with. And I'm super
And you latched on, I'll tell you, because I love it when, and hopefully you will all experience this as coaches when you have a client who just trusts you explicitly.
Yep.
And I always say that to my students, like hopefully we can develop the trust, but like you trusted me and like, Jeff, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do.
I did. I fought you on a lot of it because
you fought me, yes.
straight up, I was nervous, but, I am certainly glad I did because I trusted you and it may have taken me a little long to get there on some things, but I'm so glad I did.
So let's talk about that. Cause I want to honor that and bring that to the forefront. And there's one thing in particular in the first 5-month program we did together and we chatted about this briefly. Right. And cause you're well connected with people. You're sociable. You're the extrovert who you recharge and you love getting out and connecting with people. Correct?
I do.
That's your thing. So staying behind the scenes, social media, computer, that's like death for you.
Not my favorite.
Not your favorite. So we got to this point where it's like, listen, would you consider, I think it was actually your idea where you're like, well, I'm involved with what is it, PTA or?
Yeah, I just, again, I was from, media sales for years and years and I live pretty close to New York City. So I have a very robust network of people, whether it's in the city and a professional network. And I have a really robust personal network through working with the school and PTA and just, friends and acquaintances. So that proved to be great.
Whoever had the idea, I think it was you who said, well, what did you have the idea of doing?
Pretty much just, I wanted to really connect with people in an authentic way that didn't have a lot of pressure and wasn't like super salesy. And I didn't want it to be too academic, but I didn't want it to be too like loose. So I was like, can't I just host some sort of like literally like a gathering? And we were coming out of COVID, and like, can't I just have a simple like gathering at my home and talk about all the stuff that I've learned and see what help people want and how I can, help them. And just, if anything, it could be fact finding and just get into conversations about this, and the things that I talk about. So
Yeah.
the
So,
authenticity of that was the big thing that I was looking for.
and so of course, and those of you that have worked with me who see this know I'm like, great. So when's the date? Like, when's the date?
Yeah.
Pick a date. And I'm like, all right, let's outline it. Let's do this. So the invitation, blah, blah, blah. And how were you feeling on that?
I was all about it, but the idea of getting that done took a lot of time. I was like, how can I possibly get you a date like next week? I can't have it next week. I have to have, name an excuse, it turns out, but I just had all these ideas of what I needed to have in place before I actually did it.
And so that carried on, and call it several months through the end of the program, etc. You were doing other things,
yeah.
But I would say for you, like, whether you were ready or not, I don't know if that was the issue, but it just, something held you back from doing it.
Absolutely.
And who cares what it was?
Oh, and it changed on different days, whether it was like an imposter syndrome day and just a random excuse on timing another day. But
and so for those people listening, right? Like, we all have those.
Yeah.
Right. You would one day it was one thing, one day it was another thing. But regardless, you didn't do it then.
Nope.
Fast forward, you're still doing other work. You're sending emails. You're doing shows. You're doing things, but getting out there. And I knew for you, there was something about you and your personality. And remember, we have those conversations later on in other group where describe your unique gifts that we came in. And we haven't even talked about this in a while since we talked about this. So I don't know if you remember that conversation, but I still have the recordings on my phone. We kind of came up to describe what would you say your unique gifts are with people?
Well, we kind of just talked about it, and a lot of it comes down to just, I think that it's for me, it's all about the rapport. And with the rapport, you get trust from people, and you're able to share and trust. And when you share with people, you get the connection, and you can really bring out the goodness and the light and see each other's gifts, which in essence is really what we're all kind of looking for. And I'm able to, like, when I'm talking to people and when I'm connecting with them, we kind of find where we jive together, and together we bring each other up and find what we're good at and find what are, like, depending on what we're talking about, whether it's strengths that we're looking for or value we can bring to a business or value we can bring to a conversation or just really anything to, I'm able to help people find that light that's within them.
Yes. Like, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And I remember one thing you said, people always say, like, you always would leave the conversation. People would leave the conversation in a better place and brighter and in a just a higher level of energy, if you will, than when they came.
Yep.
And so it's you understanding your unique gifts. And that's, I think, for everybody is being able to understand that. And I remember in that conversation, you would say it and you'd be in a place where it's like, almost like you knew it about yourself, but you almost were afraid to own it. Or like,
that was just uncomfortable for me too. So yes, you were very right.
Yeah. Right. And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's where it's the work to do for everybody. And you're still in the process of that, is understanding that for yourself. What am I good at? What am I great at? And being able to say it. But it's not like you got to go around and be like, oh, I'm so good at this. But more, it's just being able to walk around knowing consciously what you're great at and then working that magic.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, working that magic. And for you, I knew that magic could be in an environment, like you said, back when we first started working, was in that safe environment of your home where you entertain and you have some wine and cheese and you invite people in and you host a party. And so fast forward probably from that idea a good 6 months without thinking about it too much. When we're in the next program, you end up doing that.
I did. And Jeff, it
Talk
was
about it.
literally just like, finally, I am just going to have this. If honestly, if anything, just to get Jeff off my back, well, I'm going to do it. But it just worked out. I, met with some people and like, whether over coffee or whatever, and talked, and I just hosted a little get together at my house. And there was, again, as I mentioned before, there was no pressure. Everything was really authentic connections. And, I was able to connect with these people and that I invited, and, it wasn't a big guest list. And we talked about struggles that we share, and we talked about ways that we can feel unstuck and ways that we can move forward. And, just in building those connections, whether I found more ideas for a new course that I'm building, or whether I found new ideas for a talk that I'll be having. And I even got some clients out of it. And, word of mouth is great. So friends come and talk to you and work with you, and they tell their friends. And it's kind of, it's built my client list. And also now these little get-togethers that I'm having are becoming much more frequent, and they're kind of building, and they're great for business, and they're great for connections, and just great to have. Everyone feels good from them.
What did you learn about yourself in this business through that, by executing on that?
Good question. I learned in a business way, I learned to put yourself in an environment that that you will succeed. You'll get wonderful success from it. And most importantly, it will be true. And I know I keep saying this, it'll be true and it'll be authentic. And when you're being authentic is when you can deliver the most important and the greatest value to others. And, that's why we're kind of doing this, is to, do good things.
Yeah. Because it's funny, because I remember when in that master's program, we'll do things, we'll track revenue, all that stuff like that. And we don't have to talk about numbers today, but it's like, once you did that, it was all of a sudden every week you're coming back. You're like, oh, I got a couple new clients this week. Oh, I got some more clients.
Yeah, you just, like you said, you have to stick with it. And I knew that this was a good thing for me to do. But again, fear gets in the way. And it's funny, that's what a lot of what I talk about. But you just got to stick with it. And sometimes it takes a little longer than expected, and you got to work some stuff out on your own, but sticking with it really, really will get you there.
Yeah. So now fast forward to where we are today. Like I said, we officially stopped our work. At least for now, I always see a future somewhere. I know there's going to be something else we do together.
For sure.
But from the time we spot till now, what's your business been like? Now we're talking a year and a half in, right? From when you were that, fresh green, pampered baby of like, I know nothing. A year and a half later, talk about what it's like and what you're doing.
Wow. Let's see. I mean, a lot of it is the same that it was in the beginning. Consistency is so, so, so important. Jeff, you talk about, getting your weekly emails out there and starting with weekly content. That is everything. You say to keep top of mind with everyone. That's really important for your future clients. And it's really important for you too, to build that consistent schedule and to get used to putting yourself out there, which is really hard and really tough, and so worth it and so great. So right now my business is growing and I'm really proud of it. I am really, really proud of it. And that makes me feel good. The clients are coming in. Sometimes it's a nice big windfall and I'm like, this is great. Sometimes it's not as like, I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Fear comes in, but you just work it out. And I'll say, get someone who can show you the ropes and stay consistent with everything. Stay consistent. and fight
I
those
love
fears.
I liked it when you came in and I'm like, hey, how are things? And you're like, what did you say? Like, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
Yep. Yep.
Sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's the reality of where we come into it. Like you said, like sometimes there's a windfall, like, oh my God, where are all these clients coming from? Well, you know, if you were to analyze it, and sometimes it's just like,
Right.
when was the last time I got a client? Like, what am I
Right.
doing? And
But
I
all
think
of it builds on each other, and just like, like you always say, you just have to keep in the game and keep doing all the little things, and it'll build. You planted that seed, and eventually, those flowers will grow, and good things will come.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Share with people your website and a little bit about kind of like what you do as a
Oh,
coach.
excellent. Yeah, you can find me. My website is coachingbyallycocco.com. And what I do is I really help people who are struggling with change, and whether it's navigating a change or creating change, and I help them, take some impactful action to get the momentum that they need to move into their next chapter.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
where does that passion come from? Like a small tidbit of your story.
Oh, it comes from my heart. It comes from my story. As I mentioned before, I was in sales for for television sales and advertising for about 25 years, and it was amazing, and I loved it. And as I mentioned, I have a beautiful network of amazing people, and then it was amazing, and then it just wasn't. The business changed, and I changed, my situation changed, and I realized I just kind of wanted to switch it up. And I've always been interested in personal development, and I got into coaching, and I took some beautiful, beautiful and very intense coach training, and fell in love with coaching, and then fell in love with entrepreneurship.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Yeah. Check out her website. Allie has a really cool website. It's
Oh,
very,
excellent.
and even with your newsletter, which I just got, did you send it out today or was it
I,
yesterday?
I was today.
This day. I knew I saw it in my inbox.
Mhm.
I love that because all my clients, I would say, like, get on put me in your email list. So I feel always connected with my clients, even after we culminate some of our work together. Cause when they're doing that work, they still show up and they stay top of mind for me.
Yeah.
But Allie did a great job. If you check out, I posted it in the comments if you're watching this, but check it out. She did a really great job of her branding. Her emails are very much the same. It has a professional elegance to it, I'd say. How would you describe it?
I would like to describe it exactly like that.
Yeah, well, you
Because
do.
that's what I am. Yeah.
Like like you're stylish. It's professional, but like there's an elegance and a level of professionalism you want to portray, and I think you capture that really well in your branding
Thank
and
you,
all
Jeff.
you do.
Thank you.
So,
Authenticity is it.
Yeah.
If you're in this for good, you got to make it be come from your heart.
Yeah. So Allie, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing everything you did. I appreciate your trust, and it's been really cool to see how everything's unfolded like the way it should have. I think that's what I want people to get of, like, at the end, you're a year and a half in, but and even people in my groups or things like that, and it's like, we talk about this stuff now. I think this is important, really important, is when we talk about stuff, like even in our work together, like that's why I wanted to highlight that the event you brought up, and it took maybe whatever months to do, and then
easily 6 months.
easy, right?
Easily.
That's why it doesn't matter as long as at some point you do some version of it.
Mhm.
It comes